Hey, folks, welcome. Milan here, Millionaire Speakers. Hope you guys great and ready to learn a little bit more about speaking business and how to use the power of your story and build a business to 7 and 8 figures like I did. And somewhere on the way, you might even become a best-selling author like I did with the book endorsed by Tony Robbins, which was a #1 Amazon bestseller international, Cracking the Rich Code, endorsed by Tony Robbins in collaboration with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank and Jim Britt and 20 other worldwide entrepreneurs at a time. So I was representing Serbia and South Africa, and that book ended up being #1 on the Amazon. But let's put all this aside and talk about the speaker's journey. Now, what this really is all about, I want to share with you how I started this journey, what brought me to this point today, and whatever you can take out of this journey, this story, and this process, um, take it, make the best out of it, and let's see how far we can grow together. Now, let's talk about that journey. It's all about the journey, understanding where can this take you. Now, when I was a youngster, I didn't really know where I'm heading. I had an idea of what success looked like, right? So let's say you would say, I want to become an entrepreneur, a business owner. But if you don't know what becoming a business owner would consist of, what is the price to pay to get there, then eventually you might quit. Like, I like the idea of owning a massive yacht, but once you realize it takes thousands of dollars and millions, depends how big that is, would all this be worth it? And I figured that out when I owned my first sports car and when it was time for a service. That was like, oh, wow, I was not aware of that, but I was willing to pay, right? So now let me give you a bigger picture of what this can be, and then you decide, is this the path you would like to take? And there's a lot of myths or misconceptions about his journey, about success with speaking. I'm just going to show you a different approach, different point of view, and then again, you decide, is this the right direction to take? But you can become better speaker. You can become successful, extremely successful, using the power of your voice, not just in business, but also in life. Now, let's say you're a beginner, right? So we have different types of people, speakers. Let's say you're a beginner and your idea was to one day you get paid to speak big bucks because you're tired of speaking for free. You believe that you have a powerful story to share. How many folks believe that you have a powerful story to share where your story can inspire many people around the world? Anybody? Yes, right. So that's how I started. You know what? My story is powerful. I was broke, college dropout, couldn't even speak English. And if somebody can hear my story, hopefully I can change their lives for better. So that's how I started. And my idea was, oh, I want to be like Tony Robbins. I want to be like Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, all these great speakers that I knew at the time. How do I get there? How do I get to the point so that people listen to me, so that people are willing to pay me for being on that stage? Because all this looks easy, but it wasn't easy after all. But it was worth it, right? It was worth it. I'm going to show you why do I say that, because I did build several businesses to 7 and 8 figures through this journey. It was worth it at the end of the day, but it does come with a price that you have to pay and willingness to learn and stay long enough on a path. Eventually, you will become successful. Now, a lot of speakers believe that, you know what? Story is enough. Milan, I have a powerful story. If I can just get more people to know about my story, eventually they will get me on their conferences. They'll pay me to speak. Well, yes and no. The challenge with that is, because if nobody knows who you are, you might have a powerful story. Most likely your friends and family are the ones who knows you, right? Who are raving about it. And that's what you heard about. Oh, wow, that's a powerful story. Let's spread this more about it, more word about it. So if nobody knows who you are, well, guess what? Nobody will pay you to speak. And yes, you might have some exposure. Come to our school and speak and inspire. Milan, come to our organization. There's a great conference. Your story will be a great fit. Are they going to call you again? Well, most likely not. You know why? Because there's so many other speakers who are also like you, unknown, and you've been there already. Why would I call you again? I want something else next time if there's a similar conference. And that's what these conferences organizers do. They will have one particular conference, themed conference, invite different speakers, and next time they want to invite others. Rarely they will invite people to come back to speak again. Now, how do we tackle this? Well, the more they know about you and the more you increase your value, the more people have perceived value about you, the more they're willing to call you again and to pay you to be on their stages. Like, if we compare, life is not a comparison, but this is a business and people have a choice, especially people who can afford to pay, right, for speakers. If I have a choice, if I have a conference tomorrow and I'm looking for great speakers, yes, I want someone with a powerful story, but I want someone who will deliver value to my audience, right? Now, what kind of value are we talking about? It's how are you going to make them feel? Let's look at it, right? So let's say you go there, you share your story. Wow, people might feel motivated, but is that really what I'm looking for with my audience, right? So let's say if I have entrepreneurs in the room and you talk about being bullied at school, how is that really relatable? Not so much. However, if we talk about how did you overcome being bullied at work and business, now that's a different story. How did you overcome that? That might be a valuable lesson for that kind of audience, right? Now, I always like to use that story of bullying in school because I was a little outsider kid that had big glasses, really good kid at the time. I was a good student, and somehow those kind of bad kids, they didn't like me, and I was always getting bullied and punched here and there. So I learned how to overcome that by becoming a class joker, telling all these jokes and stuff. And eventually I went into martial arts to become stronger so I can learn how to defend myself, right? But that was my journey. So I always tell that story that there's a different way instead of just heading into the fight, that you can learn how to deflect bullying intentions into different right direction, right? So okay, let's say the story is there. But Milan, how do I take my story to the next level so that they get paid to speak? With branding and marketing. So number one is the storytelling. Your story is there. It's your own unique journey, your own experience, your own lessons that you learn. But is it fair to say that there's people out there right now who might be going through the same journey and pain and struggle like yourself back in the days? Yes. Yes. Do you think that if they listen to you right now, that they'll be able to learn something from your similar story? Yes. Yes. So that's what we're talking about, right? So, how do we let more people know about your experience by using the power of branding and marketing? Now, marketing can be in many ways. We have free marketing, which is social media. We're using it, it's massive, a lot of different platforms. We can be everywhere, we can be on only one. Start somewhere. Even that one is better than not doing it, right? So but also this paid advertisement, let people know. And I'm also a fan of that. You just might get more exposure by using the paid advertisement, just simple because algorithm is always changing, but the paid advertisement regardless will give you a bit more exposure. It's how much are you willing to pay, but you don't have to. You can start for free with the free social media, and that will give you some exposure. Okay, so now what's happening now? We have a story in place. Now our bubble is growing. More people are listening to us and more people are learning. Now we're creating awareness. And then what? We're creating followers. We're building our tribe. Come and follow me on our website, Millionaire Speakers page, Riches and Beyond, and all the other pages that we have. Overall, through our brands, we have more than 400,000 people that are following us in different platforms and over 150,000 in our email database as well. You might be part of that also. Now, look, okay, now we have a story, we have marketing. What is the next thing? How do we build a business, Milan? I have a powerful story. People know about me. How do we build a business? Well, you're not just going to do it with speaking. How I built my several businesses to 7 and 8 figures. I sit down and realize, what am I really good at? Okay, I'm good at speaking. One of our brands is Millionaire Speakers, where I train politicians, executives, CEOs, business owners, entrepreneurs, aspiring speakers like yourself to become better speakers and better leaders and to build a business 7 8 figures. That's where I excel. I also learned how to sell from the stage. I wrote several books, 9 books, and one of them was a bestseller. So I can teach you how to write a book, become a bestseller, how to become a better speaker. So this is my specialty. But I started with property investing. So one of our first brands that we built was Riches and Beyond, which was an eight-figure business in first year of running it, literally. First year, we had in revenue about 35 million rand. It was amazing. We were all blown away with success, and then we just kept growing after some time as well. First, we used to do live events, and over time, we switched into a online events, webinars, and masterclasses, which is equally successful, if not better. Now, this is the business. So if you don't know how, find someone who's doing similar things like yourself. And this is my advice. This is how I started as well. Okay, so if I'm a speaker, how does all these great speakers running their businesses? They're surely not just relying on speaking engagements, which might be a good way of doing it. How do they manage to get paid big bucks, but also to grow multi-million dollar businesses? Because people I was looking up to, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, Bob Proctor, all these great people, right? I had to dig deeper into their stories to understand their business, and every single one of them had a business in the back end. Huh. Now I figured it out. So it's not only about speaking. And I was that person who thought, you know what? If people can only hear my story, they'll be willing to pay me more. It wasn't only about speaking anymore. It's about when I speak, I promote subtly my business, my product, and my service that I offer. It might be a free webinar, it might be a book, it might be a masterclass, it might be a workshop, it might be a seminar, it might be a coaching or mentorship program. So now every exposure that I can get, it's a subtle promotion to what I offer. And every single person I learn from have something similar. So what I started doing, and I recommend this for you to do the same thing, just model the people in your industry. Model something that's working already. Create similar thing with your own twist, with your own flair. Add more value. So how did we manage to become a leading property educational company with Riches and Beyond here in South Africa with more than 50,000 students? In the first year, over 35 million in revenue. We took an existing model of a previous company I used to work for that was present in 35 countries around the world. We took that model and we just made it better with our own flair. We realized what was missing working for them. Let's add that thing that was missing if we can with our own energy, with our own personalities. Let's be more personal, use that storytelling element with the power of marketing and branding. And eventually people started coming because it wasn't just another company that was selling a product or service. It was a company that people knew who's behind it. Story of Milan, story of our CEO and other business partners as well, right? So stories of amazing people who went through our programs, very personal. And people like personal stories because now in post-COVID era, post-COVID time, right? We just want to know who we're dealing with. Everybody's trying to sell you something, but when you become a bit more personal, when you're not hiding behind the brand, all of a sudden we either you like me or you don't. If you don't like me, that's perfectly fine. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Look at this bald guy with a goatee, thinks he's smart, funny accent. Maybe you don't like it, and that's perfectly fine. But there will be some of you who might resonate with my story of being broke, college dropout, who could barely speak English in 2005, left my country, Serbia, went overseas, met my African wife, we got married, and that's how I ended up in South Africa. See, that's my story. You don't have to like it, but learn it. And throughout this journey, I built several businesses to 7 and 8 figures, and I specialize in selling from the stage. And I wrote 9 books, one of them with Tony Robbins, which was number one on Amazon. So the thing is, if you're willing to learn, you will learn from everyone. If you're not willing to learn, then you're going to get stuck right here. Oh, look at this guy, sounds American. I don't like Americans, and you're going to leave, and that's fine. So, what we are building here, we're building a tribe of people who will connect with you based on who you are and your values. Literally, that's how you gather in your friendships, right? That's how you meet someone. You connect based on who they are, not necessarily how they look, but who they are. You connect with them because it's a similar energy, might be a match. I'm a dad of two, divorced dad, right? Oh, you also divorced dad. All of a sudden, we connecting, right? So, not many Serbians we have here in South Africa, but it's all about if you're a nice person, you will connect with other nice people. At some point, you don't even hear my accent. You don't even see how I look. You connect with me because of my story. And if my story resonates with your story somehow, then we're going into the deeper level. All of a sudden, you start following me on social media, you become part of my tribe, and the more value I share, the more trust we build, relationship grows. And this is what business really is. At some point, I might offer you advanced programs that we have. Could be a free webinar, masterclass, workshop, coaching, or mentorship program, or something else that we have. Could be a simple book. And then the decision from your side will be so much easier. Should I buy from Milan? I know him. I believe in his products. I know who he is, what he stands for. Or should I just buy from someone new that I just met? So that's what we're building here. This is how we build all our businesses to 7 and 8 figures. Storytelling is one. Number two, power of branding and marketing. And number three really is what kind of business do you offer? Because speaking is only one component of that entire circle. And if you evaluate and do a bit more research about all these great people that you might admire, business owners, each one of us is using platforms like webinars or speaking stages, live stages in person to talk about who we really are and also to subtly promote our brands and our business at the back end. So this is the journey. Right. You as a beginner, you need to understand that in order to get paid big bucks, you need to start working on your product or service. And then eventually you will speak. I mean, it's so easy to get invited to different podcasts as a guest, which is a great platform to talk about your journey, your story, connect with the right people, and promote your business, product, or service, right? Now, when you know that, maybe now is the time to ask yourself, what is missing in my journey? Right? Do you have a powerful story? Do you know how to deliver that story impactfully? Right? And I'm not even talking about counting ums and ums and all these different things, body language. That comes after. Those are technicalities that you can improve. I'm talking about you sharing your story in your own way. We can learn from Lisa Nichols, Tony Robbins, Les Brown. You will never be like them or me, but you can be the best version of yourself that you can be. That means you can be the mold of all these people that you learn from, that I learned from, right? One day I woke up, wow, I have a little bit of Lisa Nichols, from Les Brown, Tony Robbins, but essentially I'm Milan, the best Milan that I can be because my mentors molded me to become who I am today. And it's never ending journey, right? It's always about you becoming better as you grow, as you develop, right? As a human, as a person, all these different moments in your life that you're going through will shape you to become something else next year and years later on. Because 20 years ago, I was totally different, different mindset, right? Different thinking about life in general, relationship and business. But today I'm again totally different because I built several businesses. I know what it takes. I know what's the price that someone has to pay. And it's all about where do you really want to go? Which brings us to the very important question. Who are you really? And what do you really want? What do you really want? Do you want to become a speaker, 7 figure speaker to get paid big bucks? Well, it's never going to happen unless you start developing a product or service. Everything else becomes easier. You have a product or service. If you're able to sell that to one person, you can sell to a million. Just a million people need to know about it. That means maybe marketing is missing. Are you a powerful storyteller? If you don't know how to share your story to connect with people emotionally more deeper, right? Well, not many people will buy from you because all of a sudden there's not connection. You just sound across as another salesperson, right? Okay, Milan, but I have a story. I'm running my advertisement. I'm not getting proper leads, proper people to buy from me. Then maybe your business is not properly structured. And I'm talking about the business development. That's a whole different area of your own journey, right? Where who do you need to have in your team? How is your marketing? How is your branding? How is that product developed? Where do we find the right clients to purchase that eventually down the line? Because having your story is the easiest part. Okay, this is my story. You know it. You went through this journey. Identifying those lessons through that story, it's also easy. Okay, well, I was there. I was struggling, sleeping on my friend's couch. I'm not there anymore. And these are my lessons that I took, that I learned. And all of a sudden, we just have to share those lessons with the world. Okay, now I have my story and my lessons. Now, let's get more people to know about it, right? So let's talk about more. We have to have our social media in our corner And eventually, I would always advise to do a bit more paid advertisement, and you compare where you get a bit more impact. Algorithms are changing all the time on all these different platforms, just not working as before. But any exposure is a good exposure, right? And being a bit more proactive because, hey, this is Milan. I have arrived, right? All of a sudden, but who are you, Milan? We don't know you outside of South Africa, right? Why would I hire you? Well, I built several businesses. These are people I work for. Oh, now it kind of makes sense. Now it kind of makes sense to hire you because you're bringing value. Because I can talk to kids in schools, I can talk to entrepreneurs, I can talk to bankers, I can talk to businesses because I've done it. And when you've done something, nobody can ever take that away from you. I spoke in stages in front of 10 people, in front of 5,000 people. In fact, I had one speech in Sandton, South Africa, 3 minute long. And that speech, I just shared my story. After that, there was a dinner with people who were there, VIPs. I couldn't make it, but I was a little bit sick. But you know what? The gentleman who organized that dinner, he organized that dinner, and the whole reason was he wanted to meet me. And when all these people were there, first thing he asked was, "Where is Milan?" What do you mean, where's Milan? Yeah, Milan, who was speaking there, his story resonated with me so much. I wanted to organize this dinner for all of you and Milan because I wanted to talk to him. His story is very similar to mine. And gentleman happened to be from my neighbor country, Romania. He left his country, came here to South Africa, built a massive fortune. And I was just a reminder to remind him where he's coming from. Never to forget. And he says, "Wow, where's Milan? I want to talk to him. I'm interested in buying his business." And my ex-wife was there, a business partner. He offered to buy our business for 70 million rand. Same day after hearing my speech of 3 minutes. 70 million. That's about, let's say, about $3.5 million at the time, just by hearing my speech. You guys want to know why I said no? Very interesting. Look, very flattering. He says, "I would like to buy your company, but I want you guys to be part of it because I love Milan's story. I love what you guys stand for. I'm offering you 70 million. Think about it." So later, when we had a chat, we declined politely. And the reason is this: when you evaluate your business, you're always looking up to 10 years ahead of time. So if I was making 35 million in revenue the same year, 10 years later on, that should have been 350 million. So if he offered me 350 million to buy my company, I would probably say yes. But he was devaluing my company just by offering 70 million looking at 2 years ahead, right? It wasn't worth it. And we said no, right? So as a business owner, you're never going to devalue yourself unless you press to do it. So interesting enough, later on, COVID happened, and you know the story. We had to kind of transform our business, but this was my journey to learn the valuable lesson of really focusing what mattered to me at that point of time. But this is again that part of business structure. Businesses that do come with their own challenges, but essentially, when you have the story out there, powerful story, becomes so much easier again to connect. We had to switch from live events in person to online events. It was a natural progression to something that we were very comfortable to uncomfortable until we become so good at it, learning from the right people. But this is the journey, right? You can be a great speaker. Do you want to be a broke speaker or do you want to be a wealthy one? How many of you would like to be a wealthy one, right? You become a wealthy one when you build a good business at the back end. And any business can be a good with enough power of storytelling and marketing. Become more personal. Now, you might disagree with me. You might not even take this advice. Perfectly fine. This is what helped me. And this is what sets us apart. When we launched our company, which was unknown company at the time, we were competing with the big leader in the industry who was in 35 countries. How did we stand up to be number one in the country? By being more personal, by people connecting with us on a personal level. And that's what sets us apart. The other company was straight to the point. This is the product or service. You wouldn't even know who's the owner, who's behind it. But we wanted to get people to know this is who we are. This is how we started. And people bought into it. And we built a massive tribe of over 50,000 people went through our journey. And eventually down the line, we had our own TV program called The Property Game with Riches and Beyond, company which specializes in property education. And 2 seasons already. Third season is coming, was on the home channel, Business Day TV, was rerun as well, where our students share the stories and strategies. And throughout this journey, by the way, if you guys wonder about results, we helped our students to raise more than R1 billion for their deals. Yes, more than R1 billion. And you convert that into American dollars or wherever you're joining us from right now. So it was a journey. And when you're more personal, when you open to it, to share what you're willing to share, people will like you or not. And there was people who didn't like us just the way it is, funny guy, bald guy with an accent. We're not buying it, that's fine. But there's a lot of others who did. And that's helped us to stay true to who we are and stay on the path. Eventually, our programs got accredited by CETA and QCTO, big organizations here in South Africa, recognized, and we're heading onto the new directions, expanding to different countries. But why am I sharing this with you today? Let's go back right now to the present. You have a powerful story, I'm pretty sure. Your story could be a great movie, right? Pretty sure that it could be. What are you going to do about it now? Right? Not many people know about it. Marketing is missing, right? Let's focus on marketing. We have to start at social media. Talk about your journey, your lessons. Talk about what you offer. What did you have to go through in life? We're connecting with people on a deeper level. And then what is your product or service? What are you offering? Let's talk about why did you start that product or service, that journey, right? Why is it so important to you, right? Well, I'm a dad of two. For me, my kids are everything. I want to give them the best lives that I can give them, right? So for me, that's my motivation. Did you start it just to make more money, or is there something deeper? What does success really mean to you, right? Why did you start that business? How important this is, that motivation, that big why. When you have that big why, your big why might resonate with someone else who might be struggling, who also have a strong why, right? Okay, so now we have product or service, and now all we have to do really create more awareness, network a little bit with people who will recognize your value, and eventually they will invite you to speak. There's the power of branding that might come in handy, PR, public relations as well, to create a bit more awareness. But that's also another part of the big section, which is called the marketing, right? Storytelling is one. That's what I do with politicians, executives, CEOs, entrepreneurs. We sit down, identify your story. This is the backbone of your journey, of your life. This is who you are. Let's get that out there, and then putting your beliefs, your values into that storytelling, your lessons, your journey, because success is great. We're happy for you. But once we understand what you had to go through in life, all the pain and struggle, now we appreciate your success even more. Now we're happy for you. Milan, you earned the right to be here, to be called #1 public speaking coach in South Africa. Actually, if you didn't know, last year I won an award from international recognized company as the best coach of 2024. Means a lot to me. But it's not about awards. It's about if someone recognizes your perceived value, they're willing to pay even higher price, because it's never about a price. It's always about the value. Increase your value, and then you're going to get paid. And with that, I'm going to leave that today. Folks, that's the powerful message I want you to remember. Work on your story, incorporate that with the power of marketing, and have that product or service, and everything comes so easy after that. So when you talk about your journey, your values, and suddenly promoting your product and service, and it's just a matter of time before someone will become your valuable client.